Hello students, today we are going to start the second chapter in your syllabus, that is file handling in Python. So in this chapter we are going to learn what is a file, what are the different types of files, what is text file, what is binary file, and what are the operations you can perform on files using Python. So you can create a new file, you can write some content onto the file, we can read the content from the file, we can append some content onto already existing file, then how to close a file, and why are we using binary file, and what are the operations you can perform on binary files. So all these topics we are going to learn one by one. So let us start with a simple example in Python. So I am going to write a program to accept two numbers from the user and perform addition. So I'm going to accept the first number, number 1 is equal to int input, enter first number. I'm going to copy this code and paste it. Then I'm going to change the number 1 to number 2 and first to second. Okay. I will use another variable sum for sum1 is equal to num1 plus num2. Okay. Then I'm going to print the value of sum. So sum is equal to, so sum is stored in sum1, right? So sum1, run the program. I'll give first number as 12, second number is 23. We have got the value sum. I'm going to rerun the program. Now, where are the previous values of number 1, number 2 and sum? We have totally lost it, right? Because we have not saved it anywhere. So we are accepting the value. Temporarily we are storing it in num1, num2 and the result we are storing in sum. But once if we close the execution environment, the value is totally lost because values are stored in variable temporarily only during the execution of the program. So if you want to store the values permanently, what will you do? In such cases, we need a file. So using a file, we can store the values permanently on hard disk. So let us discuss the theoretical explanation of file handling. A file is a named location on a secondary storage media where data are permanently stored for later access. So we deal with different types of file in daily life, right? We have document files, we have text files, we have spreadsheet, we have mp3 files, okay, we have videos, compressed files, images, png files. The programs can be designed to perform the read and write operation on these files. So we can use Python program to perform different types of operations on file. A file is used to store data permanently on secondary storage device. So we can store the file on different storage devices. We can store it on hard disk, we can store it on floppy disk, or we can store it on CD also. The data are stored permanently on secondary storage devices for reusability. I am recording this video. Why do I record this video and store it in a file? So because I can use it again and again. Now let's see what are the different types of files. So files can be broadly categorized into two types: text files and binary files. So you can see the examples for text file and binary file. So let's see what are text files and binary files. Text files. A text file is a file that stores the information in ASCII characters. In first year we learned what is ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So we know that each and every character has an equivalent ASCII code. So text file stores the data in ASCII form. Each line of text is terminated by a special character known as end of line or delimiter. In a text file, each line ends with a delimiter called as EOL. So EOL represents end of file. So this is an internal representation. When we open a text file, we cannot see this. So each file ends with EOF, end of file. Each line of file ends with EOL, end of line. This EOL and EOF are the internal representation. When we open a file, we cannot see it, but for your understanding, I have included this. Binary file. A binary file is a file that contains information in same format as it is held in the memory. We know that computer can store the data in the forms of zeros and ones. Whatever data we store, whether it is an image or whether it is a text or whether it is a video, everything should be converted into zeros and ones. So binary file stores the data as it is held in the memory. So nothing but in the form of zeros and ones. In a binary file, no delimiters are used for a line and no translations occur here. It means when we store a text file, each and every character in the text file is converted into its equivalent ASCII code. Then that ASCII code will be converted into zeros and ones. So that translation will not occur in case of binary file. Why? Because binary files stores the data in the form of zeros and ones. So there is no translation. As the binary files does not treat the content of the file as a sentence, there is no end of line and end of file delimiters used in binary file. A text file is a sequence of characters consisting of alphabets, numbers, and other special symbols. A text file consists of human readable characters which can be opened by any text editor. So we can consider some of the examples for text file. We have txt files, we have Python files, we have CSV files, etc. So we cannot store images on text file. So we can store only the symbols. Example for text files are .txt, .py, .csv, etc. File contents are not stored in the form of text internally. So we know that even when we say that in text file data is stored in the form of ASCII, actually all the ASCII characters also should be converted into binary format. They are stored in sequence of bytes consisting of zeros and ones. Value of each character in any encoding scheme, it can be ASCII representation or it can be Unicode representation. So everything should be stored as sequence of bytes, nothing but zeros and ones. So I have a text file. So name of the text file is example. Okay. So you can see the content of the file. It contains only characters. There is no image, there is no voice, there is no video format. Look at this. This is a CSV file. So how the contents are written? So all the words are separated using comma, right? So we have comma. So what is CSV? So CSV is nothing but comma separated value. So each value is separated using a comma. So we can see that there are so many rows. In each row there are three values. So it forms a table, right? So what will I do? I will open the same file using Excel sheet. The values are arranged in the form of a table. Look at the Python files. There are different files. I will try to open this file with a notepad. So we can see the code. So we can type a Python program in notepad and save it as .py and we can execute it. Now we can discuss about binary file. A binary file is made up of non-human readable characters and symbols which require specific program to access its contents. If you are able to open PNG file using one software, exe file cannot be opened using the same software. Each type of binary files need compatible type of software to open it. To open a binary file, we need a compatible software. Binary files are also stored in terms of bytes, zeros and ones. Bytes do not represent ASCII values of characters. The binary files are not stored in the form of ASCII characters. Binary files represent the actual content such as image, audio, video, compressed version of other files, executable files, etc. So all the images, audios, videos, all the compressed files or all the exe files, all these are example for binary files. Trying to open a binary file using a text editor will show some garbage values. Here treasure box is an image. I am trying to open this using notepad, nothing but text editor. It shows some garbage values. If you make any change over here, the entire file may go corrupted. The specific software is required to read or write the content of binary file. So I already showed you we cannot open an image using notepad. So we need a software that is compatible to work with images. Even a single bit change in the binary file can corrupt the file and make it unreadable to the supporting application. If you open a binary file and change any of the bit in that, the whole file go corrupted. It is difficult to remove any error which may occur in the binary file as the stored contents are not human readable. Suppose if any bit is changed in the binary file or any kind of error occurs in the binary file, we cannot directly go and edit it like a text file. The Python program can be used to read and write binary file as well as text files. So what are the difference between binary file and text file? So text file stores the data using ASCII format. Binary file stores the data in binary format. In text file, each line of file ends with a delimiter. It can be EOL or it can be EOF. There is no delimiter in case of binary file. In text file, the content of the file needs to be translated to binary format because otherwise computer cannot understand it. But in case of binary file, no translation is required because it is stored in binary format already. In text file, it is easy to correct the error because it is stored in human readable format. Binary file is difficult to correct because it is not stored in human readable format. Text file can be opened with text editor. So what is a text editor? That is nothing but notepad. But binary files cannot be opened using notepad. So it needs some specific software. Text file can store only plain text. But binary file can store different types of data such as audio data, text data, image data in a single file. So all of you might have used Microsoft Word. So how do we store Microsoft Word? We either save it as .doc. Nowadays we save it as .docx. The question is .doc file a text file or binary file? Text file contains only the ASCII value equivalent of contents of the file. So .doc file is a Microsoft Word document. It is a binary file. It can store data in a format that is not directly human readable, unlike text files. Doc file can contain images, so it can contain some of the animated text also. It can contain some of the text formatting. So we cannot save it as a plain text. So we save it as a binary file. Nowadays we use .doc, that is an extended version of doc. It is essentially a zip file containing multiple XML files and other resources like images. So we store doc as a compressed file. In a single compressed file, there are multiple XML files. So operations performed on a text file. So what are the operations we can perform on text file? A computer program may have to deal with data from different sources such as databases, CSV files, HTML file, XML file, JSON files, etc. A file is usually accessed to perform read or write operation. So using Python program, we can perform operations on different types of files. It can be a text file, it can be a CSV file, or it can be an HTML file. What are the operations we can perform on files? We can create and open a file. We can write some content onto the file. We can go through each and every line of the file. We can read the data of the file and so on. So Python has IO module that contains different functions for handling files. we learned math module, we learned statistics module, etc. So there is a module called IO, input output module, which contains all the operations that can be performed on file. I hope you got a very basic idea about what is file, what are the different types of files, what is text file, what is binary file. So what are the differences between text file and binary file? So in the next class, we'll be learning how to create a text file and what are the operations you can perform on text file. If my video is useful, kindly like the video, share my video, and subscribe my channel for the next updates. Thank you.